Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the ordinary meeting of council today, Tuesday, the 28th of February. We'll jump straight to, before I actually start the meeting, can I have someone move a motion that Councillor Langley can attend the meeting via electronic means? Councillor Fullerton, Councillor Maslin, Councillor Vanderleer, seconded it. All those in favour? Aye. That's unanimous, Mrs. Hill. So Councillor Langley may join the meeting. Can we make sure he's there? Councillor Langley, can you acknowledge that you've joined the meeting, please? Is he there?
Well, I can't talk because he hasn't got his microphone.
He's muted, but Councillor, yeah, I just want to make sure he's there before we start. Councillor,
I'll just text him.
Oh,
just text there. Councillor,
I'll put the leave of absence as well, just as a reminder.
yeah, I'll just deal with this, make sure I've got.
It's been saying it's connected for the last 5 minutes.
Hey?
He just said it's been saying it's connecting for the last 5 minutes.
No, I haven't connected yet. Tell him to unmute and see if he can hear me.
Okay. Yeah, it's just saying it's trying to connect to his end. Here we go.
All
Alright, sorry guys.
Hang on.
Councillor Langley, your camera's
I'm sorry.
90 degree out of whack, mate. Much better. Righto.
All that correct, mate.
Thank you. Welcome to the meeting. Thank you.
G'day.
Attendances and apologies and approved leave of absence. We have Councillor Skender.
Yeah, sorry, I was wrong. It's section 8 of the agenda
Oh, that's
application.
yes. Right, you'll do that then. Thank you. Declarations of interest. I have 3. One from Councillor Skender, and agenda item 7.4.4, which is the supply of plant and operators for road flood damage repairs. The nature of the interest is impartiality, and the extent of the interest is the author is Councillor Skender's partner. Councillor Skender is another interest in item 7.4.5, which is a supply and delivery of premixed concrete. It is an impartiality interest, and the author is the extent of the interest is the author is his partner. And one from Dr. Alexander Fullerton. Alexander Fullerton, councillor. The interest is in item 7.3.4, the Community Growth Fund report, and it is a financial interest with Councillor Fullerton being a director of the beneficiary. Thank you. Public question time. Do we have any questions from the public? Thank you. All of those. And you've got the answers. So we've got 3 questions from Jackie Price of Coral Bay, and the questions are, sorry, there's, I thought that was a question here.
Addressed at the upcoming meeting.
So we've been provided but this is a question, or am I answering this one?
You can.
Yeah. Okay, so in the in the lead up to the question, there's a Mr. Peter Blakeney, an employee of the Bayview Caravan Park in Coral Bay, has written a letter to the council, and the question from Jackie Price is, can his letter please be addressed at the upcoming council meeting on the 28th of February? So what I'll do, council, is it's going to be the same answer for all the questions, is I'll answer them all at the same time. The second question is the council prepared in relation to the lack of decent staff accommodation in Coral Bay, is council prepared to work with the local people to assist this issue instead of working against them? And then the further question is, what benefit is there to the ratepayers of Carnarvon by continuing this prosecution? With that, the items that they're talking about and trying to have dealt with are the issues in court at the moment, and therefore we cannot comment on any of these questions. Thank you. So I've received 2 questions from Mr. Peter Blakeney. If the Minister has signed off on the amendment to the town planning scheme on the 1st of February 2023, allowing tourist accommodation to be used for workers' accommodation, why can't we move into the available air-conditioned 2-bedroom accommodation immediately, and what is the delay? Now that this amendment has been passed, is there any need or justification in pursuing legal action against Bill Broken, which is just prolonging the time frame in which we're able to use the workers' accommodation? The answer to that is, as per the previous questions, we cannot comment as it's in the courts. Thank you. There are no further questions. Public question time. We have no further questions from the public. Confirmation and receiving of the minutes. We have the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council on the 22nd of February and the minutes of the Regional Joint Development Assessment Panel minutes on the 20th of January 2023. Can someone move that we accept both those, please? Councillor Masman, Councillor Vandler, sorry. Is there any debate, councillors? Any questions? Nothing? Let's adopt all those in favour. It's unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Announcements by the President without discussion. Councillors, I think it's a great time right now for me to bring up due to some of the positive and negative feedback I've received over the last month or so due to the noise or the contact I've had with the media and relevant ministers over some of the antisocial issues and crime that's occurring in Carnarvon. So in the past 5 or 6 weeks, I've met with Minister Papalia, Minister Punch, the Minister for Regional Development, and of course Minister Papalia is the Minister for Police, Minister Whitney, who looks after racing and gaming amongst a couple of other items, Premier McGowan, and Minister Carey being the last one yesterday. Sit down. This is really, I think, it stemmed from the noise we've been making with the issues we've got. And just to give you a bit of a quick update, so with Minister Papalia, Andrew and I have met with him 4 times. In the last couple, since Andrew's been here, at least 4 times in Perth and here. I must say, to a certain extent, he has been proactive in providing more police to the town. And in fact, an inspector of police is now based here. So, and that is making a difference. That is keeping a lid on a significant amount of what is happening. So I'm pretty happy with that one. The next minister we recently visited was Minister Punch, who's the new Minister for Regional Development, which was a great meeting. It was more of a meet and greet type meeting and to get an understanding of our priorities and where we're going. Minister Punch is extremely experienced in the area of social issues and dealing with the problems that are generated amongst a smaller part of our many communities. He worked for 25 years in that area in Kimberley, so he has a very good understanding of what's happening. And I think through the regional development, I think we'll probably develop, the Gascoyne Development Commission. I think there's a good chance he's going to have a very good understanding of the impact on future development in Carnarvon and around Carnarvon and the issues that may arise in that area. So I'm looking forward to working with Minister Punch. I think it will be good. We've also had Minister Whitby here, who was basically here in his role in regard to liquor and gaming, to address the liquor accord at its last meeting. There was quite a blunt address, spelling out that it is quite clear that alcohol is playing a significant role in some of the issues that are occurring in Carnarvon, and asking the accord to make some decisions to reduce the negative impact of alcohol on the town. Once again, I think it was the minister was quite open and quite frank about what needs to happen. I'm not sure that was really listened to. Premier McGowan was the next one along, and once more I felt that was more of a fact-finding visit by the Premier. In fact, he's the first Premier or Minister I've seen that sat down and listened to us, but took 2.5 pages of notes himself, amongst his staff also taking notes. So I found that quite interesting. I think he was taken aback with what he saw on his drive we took him on. I think I'm quite confident in saying, and Andrew, you can jump in if you wish, but I think he was taken aback with what he saw. I'm not sure that they're really comprehending, the government is, and to a certain extent some of the other ministers are not really comprehending exactly what's going on. But I think the Premier went away probably with a different mindset. But once again, we didn't get any real commitment, other than he did agree and he took notes to talk to Minister Saffioti regarding the development on Babbage Island, which was a positive. Yes, I'll bring that up. Yeah, so that was a real positive for him to agree to go back and speak to the Minister for Lands on that one. So hopefully that will happen. Could not be drawn on discussion in the area of making change to policy, strategy or legislation to address some of these issues. That didn't come out, and we couldn't draw him out on that at all. And then the last one, which was only slated yesterday, was Minister Carey there, Minister for Housing and Local Government. We found Minister Carey yesterday to be very open in his discussion, which previously we didn't, in previous meetings with him, it wasn't like that. But he was quite easy to talk to yesterday. So that was a huge plus. Once again, I think it was fact-finding. And once again, he also agreed to talk to Minister Saffioti to back up our request to try and move that project along. We did talk, I'll go back a step while I'm thinking about it. Premier McGowan was the same. He did take a bit of notice of what we were saying about the projects we're having, looking to coming up and that. So that was a positive in that area. Minister Carey was also very complimentary of the council. For me, it was a pleasure to hear him say at least 3 times, Andrew, that we've got no problems with the Shire of Carnarvon, Eddie. We've got no complaints at all. So for him to say that after the previous history of the council, where it was an almost constant stream of complaints going to the department, it was a pleasure to hear him say that. That was a positive. Once again, though, we could not draw him into discussing legislative change or anything like that. So I'm pessimistic that they may go away and consider what they do in that area, the ministry. So, have I missed anything, Mrs. Sylvia?
I suppose, Mr. President, thank you. So through the chair, thank you, Mr. President. I suppose Minister Carey, acknowledged the issues around social housing, but felt that they really had very little option because how to move people in and deconcentrate the areas of where there are social issues and social housing, how to deconcentrate social housing, because he said there were so few options to move of land availability to move people. So that was something I think that came up very
Yes,
strongly
it was.
with Mr. Carey,
Yeah.
with Minister Carey, in terms of feeling quite and hamstrung by available lack of land ready for development. The opposition.
Oh, sorry, guys. Yeah, Andrea's just reminded me that we also had the leader of the federal opposition, David Littleproud, here, which we discussed the issues we have in WA because it's West Australia wide, and he had a really good, strong understanding of what's occurring. And of course, the issues we have are Australia wide. There's no doubt about that. And we did lead into a discussion once again with Minister Littleproud over the same issues of would the federal government legislate change to affect an improvement in the social attitude of some of these people. But I'm not sure we really got an answer to that. So, but we'll continue to try. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Yeah, councillors, now that Mr. Morrissey's here, I've asked, would someone move that we adjourn the meeting for 15 minutes? Councillor Maslin, Councillor Fullerton, all those in favour?
Right.
Thank you. Mr. Morrissey, Mrs. Williamson? Yep, got it. Right, councillors, will refer you to the departmental reports, starting with item 7.11, actions performed under delegated authority for the month of January and February. Councillor Vanderwerf, move that. Councillor Maslen, seconded it. Councillors, is there any debate or questions? There no debate or questions? Councillor Vanderwerf moved. Councillor seconded. Thank you. And that was adopted unanimously. Thank you. Are you ready? Okay, item 7.1.2, local government ordinary election. Councillor Maslen. Oh, hang on, there's 4 hands up. Who went up first? Councillor Fullerton. And this is by absolute majority, councillors. Councillor Fullerton. Who moved it? Councillor Maslen. Councillor, is there any debate? Councillor Fullerton.
Thank you, sir. Elections. Yes. I note the list and I note that I'm on it. I'm going to take the opportunity to declare to the world in general that poor old Dr. Fullerton is heading for the knackery and will not be renominating. So there's one. I also caveat to the public generally, if you're looking at being a councillor, it's a tough grind. However, I suggest you start looking at it now because there's qualifications that are required, which you've never required in the past. And you've got to do the little courses. They're not hard. Even Councillor Randall can do them. I retract that, Councillor Randall. But they have to be done. And if you're canvassing, I strongly suggest you make your mind up and you start canvassing. Because if this motion is passed, and I strongly recommend it to the chamber, it will be all postal votes. So the days of standing out the front with your henchmen and a couple of bottles of wine and making sure they all vote in the right way are gone. Now it's postal votes. And the previous president of the United States would caveat that there's possibilities in postal votes being, dare I say it, subject to voter fraud. They can do that. I know they can. At least the individual returning officer was. Now, I have a question to Mrs. Selby, if I may. And this is the first one. Are there measures in place to minimise that activity, and what penalties apply if detected? I.e., if I catch somebody out the front of the post office grabbing some ballot papers out of the bin and decide to help the elector, what are they likely to face?
So if I can, through the chair.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. The WAEC, as if council adopts the officer's recommendation, would be conducting the election, and they would have processes, given that that is their core business, they would have processes for minimising electoral fraud. What those processes are, I can't tell you, but I can certainly take that on notice. And there are severe penalties, but again, I couldn't tell you the detail of that, and I will take that on notice and get that information to councillors.
Thank you, Mrs. Selby. If I may continue, sir. So it's a fair bet that if you're caught, you will be punished. If I catch you, you'll be punished. Yeah, I didn't say that. Now that we know the world's moving to it, and a couple of things I point out from past experience. Postal votes in this instance do not carry past election day. In the old days, they used to wait for the postal votes to come in. It doesn't happen anymore. They've got to be in the hands of the returning officer by close of the poll on that day. So there's no point putting them in the mail and hoping they're going to be there. So to this, another question to Mr. Selby, if I may, sir. Will there be a ballot box at the Shire office to receive hand deliveries?
Through the chair, yes, there will be. Definitely on the day, but also prior to.
Thank you. So there's no excuse for not voting, even though it's not compulsory. Look, there's a lot of positives. I've gone over the negatives. And I certainly encourage the members of the community to step forward. If everyone does a little bit, it's a lot easier. I've been here for 20 years. So a lot of people have given a lot of service over time. I admire that. That said, I strongly recommend this method of voting, the postal vote system run by the West Australian Electoral Commission. This is a third party, and it gives us that confidence of the whole thing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. Just one quick comment on that is any votes held by Australia Post in Perth on the day are counted. And then the count is forwarded onto the room to be included.
Thank you for that clarification.
Thank you. So with that, is there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Fullerton, would you like to close the debate?
I thank you, sir, and I commend this motion to the chamber and those councillors who are intending to renominate or wish them well.
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. With that, Councillor, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Aye. That's unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Item 7.2.1, report of accounts paid under delegated authority, January. I'll move it, please. Councillor Vanderloo, Councillor Maslin, second. Is there any debate, councillors? There being no debate, that item is adopted unanimously. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Item 7.2.2, statement of financial activity to the 31st of December 2022. I have a mover, please. Councillor Vanderloo, Councillor Maslin. Is there any debate, councillors? There being no debate, I declare that as unanimous. Thank you. Item 7.2.3, statement of financial activity to the 31st of January 2023. Councillor Skender, moved. Councillor Vanderloo, seconded. Once again, councillors, is there any debate? There being no debate, that motion is adopted unanimously. Item 7.2.4, budget adjustments as of up to 28th of February 2023. Councillor Skender, Councillor Vanderloo, seconded. Any debate, councillors?
I have a question, sir, to Mrs. Selby, if I may.
No?
These are budget adjustments, basically swapping bricks for steel or some other construction material in the site, but the overall cost of the house remains the same. These adjustments or changes will have no overall effect on our expenditure. Is that fair, Mrs. Selby?
That is correct, Councillor Fullerton. There's a net, nil net impact on the budget.
Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? As you open the debate, Councillor Fullerton, which didn't happen, well, you spoke to the motion.
I have a question, sir, but I'm quite happy to recommend these changes to the chamber.
Thank you. You've closed the motion. All those in favour?
Aye.
Thank you. Item 7.2.5, proposed write-off sundry debtors. Councillor Vanderloo has moved the motion. Councillor Maslin seconded. Councillors, is there any comment, debate, or question?
Oh, yes, no, well, I'd just like to it's good to see these are finally getting dealt with in a timely fashion, and I can assure the public and my fellow councillors that the current system of debt reminders and collection is far more immediate than what has been previously going on. So I strongly recommend the council accept the officer's recommendation, but fully in the knowledge that the system has been well improved.
Thank you, councillor Maslin.
Question to Councillor Maslin, if I may, sir.
You know, councillor Fullerton.
Councillor Maslin, you said that with great confidence. Do you have any personal experience in this?
I have recently had such personal experience from my own business in regards to acquiring a rubbish bin that was required for one of my clients, and it went over the 7 days, and I was promptly reminded payment is due. Therefore, I can speak firsthand of how well this system's working, Councillor Fullerton.
Thank you, councillor Maslin. Councillors, would you like to vote on this agenda item before? Thank you. All those in favour? Thank you. Councillors, item 7.3.2. Councillor Maslin, you're moving the motion. Councillor Skender is seconded. Councillors, is there any debate on this item?
I have a question to Mrs. Selby, if I may, sir.
You may, councillor Fullerton.
Mrs. Selby, I believe that item 5 of the officer's recommendation may cover my question, but has there been or will there be an environmental impact assessment report of this particular piece of land? Because to me it appears as though it's basically native scrub, and it will eventually be its highest and best use, intense horticulture. Is any consideration being made generally to the natural environmental impact of such a change to the planning system?
Thank you, Councillor Fullerton. Through the chair, our manager of regulatory services is here and may offer more commentary, but certainly there's been a preliminary assessment done in-house based on strategic documents that inform on those matters. In addition, should council resolve to proceed as per the officer's recommendation, one of the steps in the process is that the matter would be referred to the EPA for their assessment as well.
Sorry, that leads to the next question. Therefore, the approval by the chamber here does not necessarily translate into approval generally for the development of this land.
So I'm getting some body language from the back of the room, and our manager of regulatory services is saying not, that the matter would, pending the outcome of that assessment by the EPA, it may be that the matter is returned to the chamber.
Thank you.
May I ask Mr. Lynn to comment as well?
So through the chair.
Thank you.
If this amendment is adopted, it will be advertised and referred to all external agencies for comment. If comment comes back that there is significant environmental impact, then it will obviously come back to the chamber for a decision on the viability of the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Are there any further questions, councillors?
No, I'll speak to the motion.
You wish to speak to the motion?
Unless you've got a question.
I was going to speak to the motion as well.
So you can vote. Yes, councillor Maslin.
Basically, first of all, thank you, Mr. Lowe, for a very comprehensive agenda item. I'd see you've done your homework here, and I understand, subject to Councillor Fullerton's concerns being addressed environmentally wise, but on preliminary studies here, the land has been stated fair capacity for horticulture. The subject land is not included with any designated environmentally sensitive area, nor is it likely to generate any adverse environmental impacts. And the subject land is not included in any designated floodway. So I urge the councillors, and as we are been known to be proactive, pro-development in supporting this motion. We've supported the food bowl expansion. I don't see there being much difference between that and opening up this extra bit of horticultural land for production. So I urge the council to support the officer's recommendation in full confidence that there will be further checks and balances.
Thank you, councillor Maslin. Councillors, is there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? Councillor.
Yeah, I'll briefly just talk for the motion. I know these growers, having been to that property a number of times. If you look in the aerial photograph, you can see that their existing land, they have covered that property almost 100% with crop netting, which I estimate to be about 20 acres or 8 hectares. They have intensified as much as they can already and heavily invested in that particular property. I congratulate them on doing that first, an intensification process, and then moving to this process where they are infilling existing land, which is almost bordered by other properties. It is not in the middle of a book. It is pretty basic infill, and in line with what Councillor Maslin said, the food bowl, 400 hectares has been released over the last 10 odd years. The process has gone for 10 years for the food bowl initiative to grow the horticultural industry here. Pastoral property neighbouring, directly neighbouring Carnarvon has recently cleared approximately 30 hectares, I believe, for their crops as well, and this is about 7 hectares, just over. So I think it's in line with what we're trying to do, the local government and the state government. It's nothing out of the ordinary, and again, I congratulate the grower for the initiative.
Thank you. Thank you, councillor Skender. Councillor Maslin, would you like to close the debate?
No further debate. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
Unanimous. Thank you, councillor Langley. I haven't taken notice. Unanimous. Councillors, item 7.3.3. In order to board up a damaged house. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Handler. Councillor Maslin, seconded. Councillor Vanderloo, would you like to open the debate?
The debate's open and I'm speaking in favour of it. Don't really have anything additional to add to what the officer has put there, and would invite other councillors to have their input at this time.
Thank you, councillor. Yes, further speakers for the motion? Are there any speakers against the motion? Councillor. Okay, councillor Vanderloo, would you like to close the debate?
Debate's closed.
Thank you. All those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Hill.
Excuse myself, sir.
Yes, thank you. Councillor Fullerton has a financial interest in this item. 7.3.4 Community Growth Fund Round 1 applications. Councillor Maslin. Councillor Skender. All those in favour?
Councillor
No,
Maslin.
sorry, do you want to open the debate?
Thanks, Mr. President. Yes, well, rather good stuff. Anyway, well,
Yeah, good.
just for the clarification for the public's benefit, that there was we were heavily oversubscribed for our community growth fund, which was, it's good to see. It's good to see the public taking notice and applying for that fund. But there was, in this case, a limited amount of money, and there was 11 applicants, and we managed to, in some way, support 7 out of the 11 in total. So well done, to the committee. Also, I'm sure the applicants will be very appreciative. And also, just for clarification for the public, Section 3 for the approved recommendation for funding made by the Community Growth Fund Committee. Those funds listed below was actually a grant for a buy local app that was provided by the Development Commission that never actually came to fruition. So that was additional money, that wasn't the ratepayers' money per se, and basically everyone that applied for that under the solar eclipse, supporting them to expand themselves or basically provide that additional interest during that period of solar eclipse around their business. Basically, they were all all successful. So that was separate to the Community Growth Fund itself. So well done. So it was as fair as we could make it at the time. So I urge all councillors to support it as the officer's recommendation.
Thank you, councillor. Are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? I will note that there was a massive amount of applications. So, yeah, very well done. Councillors, with that, Councillor Maslin will close the debate.
Yep, that's closed.
Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Councillor Fuller, the motion was put and adopted as put. Thank you. Councillors, item 7.4.1, RFT 13/2022, roof replacement, much needed roof replacement in the Shire building. Simple majority. Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Angela, Councillor Maslin. Councillor, is there any, would you like to open the debate?
Yeah, debate's open. I think the right candidate has been selected here, and I think it's a good project. Look forward to that getting done in a relatively quick amount of time for June, it is. But it's due, so I think it's a good outcome, and I've got nothing further to add aside from I think council should support it.
Thank you. Councillors, are there any speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? There being none.
Debate's closed.
Thank you, Councillor Vanderleer. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. Councillors, I look forward to it. Item 7.4.2, the unsealed roads maintenance and renewal policy. Councillor Maslin is quite keen to move this motion. Councillor Vanderleer is seconded.
Yes, I just like to move the motion with a slight amendment to it, just to be added. So basically, in regards to, I think Danny, you've got this covered anyway. So it basically aligns with adding in there, just for clarification, to include the addition of roads to be maintained to a category 2. So in layman's speak, every pastoral property will get at least one maintenance grade, full maintenance grade per year. And the priority roads, well, I'm calling them priority roads, but the Quabba, Nalu, the Manilia Linden and the Pimby Road to Junction, they will all basically, as it's stated in the policy, become a 1. There is a slight change also, which I think we've identified as a typo, that the Hill Springs Road will be changed to a category 2. So Hill Springs, that was just a typo, they were included in that. And the only other minor detail was that the Bibbawara Road to Bibbawara Bore, the commentary around, they will basically remain a 2, the full length, so 2 or 2, so they'll get done once a year. Did you have something else?
No, it's all good.
Okay, and also I'd just like to yeah, I think the Shire, this was actually workshop fairly heavily over half a day. There was some partials that gave it the time to come in and provide some input. I think this also gives the Shire, provides the Shire with a bit of a tool to actually go out and lobby the state for some more funds, because it shows that we are very heavily undergunned, and it's out of our capacity to basically fund the required maintenance and resheeting that we'd like to be able to achieve to keep them up to standard. So I'd commend the officer's recommendation of putting this forward, and thank you for the Shire putting this together in a bit of a workshop that now can give us a framework to go forward and apply for further funding. So I urge all councillors to support the officer's recommendation as put with these changes.
Thank you, councillor Maslin. Councillor Vanderleer, are you happy with those? Thank you. With that, councillor Maslin's opened the debate. Is there any speakers against the motion? Are there any further speakers against the motion? Any further speakers for the motion? That being the case, I'll just comment that I think councillors keep in mind that this is our document, and if you wish to make any changes, we can, as required. So with that, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Right. Unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. RFP 7.4.3, which is the flood preparedness project with Gascoyne River flood modelling. Have a move, please. Councillor Skender. Councillor Vanderleer. Councillors, is there any debate on this item?
Can you talk for the motion?
Yes, you may.
Yeah, I'd just like to express my gratitude and thanks to both the council here and the staff and the state for coming to the party to make this happen. It's quite a big project, and our town, specifically our horticultural district, desperately needs this to happen. And also confidence in the assessment of the scoring, especially to they were external to our staff, but they were two heavily qualified and experienced people in this area. So I urge councillors to support it. Thank you.
Councillor Maslin, Councillor Skender, before I go any further, I forgot. Councillor Skender does have an impartiality interest in this item. Yes. Yes. And the impartial.
No, not this
No,
one.
that's
Not
the
this one.
speaker.
Next one.
That's David.
Oh, that's the guy. Yes. My apologies. My mistake. Okay, councillors. Is there any speakers against the motion? I'd like to mirror Councillor Skender's statement. I'm looking forward to this the surveying being done and the results being made available. So with that, councillors, who moved that? Councillor Skender, you moved it. Would you like to close the debate?
Yeah, debate closed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillors, all those in favour? It's unanimous. Thank you, Mrs. Hill. This time, item 7.4.4, Councillor Skender has an impartiality interest, and it's due to his author. The author is his partner. Councillor Scribe, move it, please.
I don't want to move this motion, but I'd like to move another motion.
Thank you.
And I would like that motion to read almost exactly like the existing motion, but where it says Red Dust Holdings, I'd like that to read them moving proprietary limited for both A and B. And invite them not to foreshadow a motion if they.
Well, you doesn't he need a seconder?
Yeah, I'm going to call for a second. Councillor Fullerton?
I'll second the motion.
Yeah, Councillor Fullerton seconded the motion. Councillor.
Last question.
Yes.
In terms of process, is this a standing order? Is this an amendment or a totally?
No, it's a whole new motion.
I'm telling you.
So we won't visit the original one again?
No, but if we get a
Unless
foreshadow,
it's foreshadowed.
then therefore I'd like
Yeah.
to put a foreshadow that
Yeah.
Okay.
just in case this doesn't get up,
Councillor Maslin would like to foreshadow that motion.
which is the original.
Yes, I know, that's it. I know.
No.
Okay, Councillor Vanderloo, would you like to open the debate, please?
Yes, so I've made a change there, and I've taken some notes here. I understand they're required when deviating from the plan. That the officer's recommendation is derived from the scoring and award, derived from the scoring and award in the tender evaluation process, which I'd like to say is very thorough. Become very used to seeing thorough evaluation processes, which is excellent. Where one of the applicants, Red Dust Holdings, had a marginally better score overall than one of the other applicants, them Earth Moving. The difference between the two submissions from an evaluation perspective was immaterial in my view, and being that the scores were so similar, I don't have a concern that one is capable and one is not of doing the role, and I believe council should accept the submission of them Earth Moving for the following reasons. Them Earth Moving are currently operating in the Shire of Carnarvon, and their current works package is almost complete. By all reports, their standard of work is acceptable, and they offer their service at the most competitive rate. The scheduling of the works can be planned so that the funding of the project isn't put at risk, and I understand there is minimal lost time, if any, if we wait for them to complete their current work package before commencing the tendered work package. Considering our previous experience contracting suppliers for these works and what we know about the market for machines and operators in the earth moving space, the supplier that presents the least risk, operational risk and best value for money is them Earth Moving, in my opinion. So that is my view for the council to consider.
Thank you. Do I have any speakers against the motion?
No, it's a question.
You may ask.
So what would be the delay or perceived delay? I think we covered this a little bit with Hayden, just trying to refresh my memory, in getting work started on the southern end, just when this package is awarded, knowing full well that Tim's already up at up north, between the northern end.
Through the chair, can I ask Caroline to ask this?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I can't really, it's a bit hard to.
Do you want to come up here?
Anyways, yes.
So the question was, if the, as Councillor Vanderloo's looking at changing this motion to award it to them, and they're already up on the northern package, and we did cover a little of this with Hayden, but it was basically the time, considering the southern end's been waiting almost 2 years to get work underway, by changing this motion, in your opinion, what would be the delay, further delay?
For THEM to, it's because they're already working with the northern package, it makes sense because in the works that are proposed under this tender, that includes 2 AGRN packages, so the 2 packages that require flood works. The second package is still needs to be fully approved by DFAS. We are far in that stage, but I can't give an exact date when that's going to happen. So THEM needs to wait until that is approved. So apparently, with the current information that we have, they're going to finish the northern package works of the old AGRN package this month, next month. Again, is it likely that the work by DFAS is approved somewhere in March? It is likely, but we can't guarantee that. The advantage of starting in the southern package, which Red Dust would be able to do, is that's part of the already approved AGRN package.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, when this tender is awarded, they hypothetically could start anytime.
Okay, so they basically, so you go on. So basically, quit. So you're saying if this was as per Councillor Vanderleur's amended motion, and it went that way, the dust, we could basically say they could be starting next week.
Who, THEN?
No,
Red Dust.
Red Dust, yes.
Hypothetically, yes. It depends a little, obviously depending on their availability, but yes, they could start. It's more or less an advice to DFAS who's been awarded,
Mhm.
and then they could start those, yes.
So you've answered the question. Thank you.
If I may,
Yes.
thank you, just through the chair, there is just that risk, and we cannot quantify that risk for you, that the AGM 021 is not approved by DFS by the time THEN finishes with the northern package. So there is that risk.
So if anything, there's a risk that THN could be available. They're still available if
They would have to demote from the north and move to the south to the package that's already been
Yeah.
approved.
Councillor, yeah, go ahead, Councillor.
Just about the question before, earlier, this morning, about the demo. So if Councillor Mandela's motion gets up and that it's ordered to THM, will they demobilise? Are they willing to move their gear, or they have to move their gear? They've got no choice, or okay. I believe that was an issue in the previously, so I just wanted to get to the bottom of that.
Councillors,
Yeah.
I asked for a speaker against the motion. Do I have a speaker against the motion?
So, Councillor Vandelaw, just listening to the Shire staff, along with Hayden this morning, with just that little bit of element of risk, just I understand there's the scoring and some price differences, etc. However, just with the ability for Red Dust to be able to get in and start quicker than what THM would be, going by the information that's been provided to us, I just think that just removes a good element of risk for this particular package, and that's sort of pushing me over to support the opposition's recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor.
Do we go forward again?
Yeah, I was going to ask a question, but I think I've got it in my head now. I've got it all in my head, I think. Councillors, any further speakers for?
So
Councillor Fuller.
I thank and acknowledge Councillor Vanderloo for his motion. And I also recognise that Councillor Vanderloo is not only a master's accountant, but he also happens to be a home builder. So I have to acquiesce to the special knowledge that Councillor Vanderloo has outside this chamber. And in particular, I want to point out that staff and policies are restricted to, as Mrs. Selby has accurately pointed out, quantitative assessments. That is an objective assessment where you simply count the rocks and report how many rocks you've got. Opposing that, I guess, is a qualitative assessment where the assessor basically says, do we need rocks? Are our rocks too light? Will our rocks float away? And that's a qualitative assessment. And I think what Councillor Vanderloo is looking at is that quantitatively, stacking up the numbers, counting rocks, the officer's recommendation comes to an answer. However, there are other aspects to this which are qualitative and which are made in policy in this chamber. Now, some comment has been made to demobilising and up north and down south. Well, up north and down south, when you're at Como, it's probably not a far distance to St George's Terrace. But I remind you, the Shire of Carnarvon is a bloody long up north to a bloody long way down south. So picking your gear up and moving down south, and I can point out in my younger days that Maslin is from up north and I'm from down south, which is on the other side of the Gascoyne River, and I'm from Gilroy. It's how much further up north and down south can you go? I understand that them have been doing a job for us and they've been doing a damn good job. So that kind of bends my thinking a little bit to go, well, we're on a good horse, we might start him again in the next one. And as Councillor Maslin would point out, anything can happen between here and there. We could have a cyclone. In fact, I don't know why we haven't had a cyclone of late. I thought about that, but anyway, something's coming. A lot of things will go wrong. I'm going to stick with the horse we got. And dare I say it, Uncle Merton won on Bracken in 1896. And support this this motion thoroughly that Councillor Vanderloo has put up in his wisdom of a bit more knowledge than what we all have. And I recognise that. Thank you very much.
Councillors, I'll just ask a question, if I may. Is there any idea of when Red Dust would be able to start, if they were to be awarded the work, when they would be able to start?
Jesus.
I'd have to take that on notice.
Take it on.
We'd have to take that on notice, I'm sorry.
But saying that, sorry, that was which didn't you just explain that hypothetically that if they were awarded it to Red Dust as recommended, hypothetically, because it's available to start next week? Hypothetically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so can I speak against the motion?
Yeah, it's Councillor Fullerton spoke for, so you wish to speak against the motion? Okay.
And I fully respect Councillor Vanderloo's point of view on this, especially with the operation. He's got his own earthworks business and obviously knows what's going on. I'm really leaning on the officer's recommendation only at this point. I understand it very close and all the rest of it, but down the southern end, they've been waiting well over 2 years, and maybe a couple more months might not make the difference, but anything could happen in a couple of months, as Councillor Fulton's pointed out. As far as sticking with the same horse, yeah, I'd like to, have a bet each way if you like, and go with the officer's recommendation, bearing in mind that we do also have another claim underway, under process at the moment, which is still going through the wheels of government. But in my mind, that process which has been put together with the following claim that's going on up north, for want of a better word, that we leave the northern crew in the northern area and they pick up the next package of northern works to go on without having to demob and mob, and we kick Red Dust into gear as soon as possible and get the works underway as per the officer's recommendation without any further delay. Well, I respect Councillor Vanderloo's point of view, and them are doing a wonderful job. I'd just, in this point, I'd rather see things getting underway sooner than later. So therefore, I'll be looking to support the officer's recommendation as put.
Thank you, Councillor Maslin. Councillor Vanderloo. Oh, sorry, is there any further speakers for the motion? Any further speakers against the motion? Councillor, you may close the debate.
Yeah, thanks to Councillor Scandella and Councillor Maslin for their input. I think we're all fairly closely aligned in that we want to see the road get done. It's just a matter of what risk we're trying to balance in our heads here. From a timing perspective and a starting perspective, I think you're looking at, say, best case scenario is the tender gets either comparing Red Dust or them earth moving. And if you're going to go in favour of Red Dust on the grounds that they could start extremely quickly, you'd say potentially they can start next week, being the first week in March. At And then you'd say worst case scenario, if we didn't go with red dust, that you might get them to commence on the 1st of April after they've completed their works in March. So you're really playing with, and that's on the best case scenario if you were going to go in favour of red dust. So you're really playing with a matter of 4 weeks or so, and I understand that people have been waiting for a long time down south, but I don't think 4 weeks in the grand scheme of a year, when we've got a team up and running in the Shire doing the job to an acceptable level, is a massive amount of time to wait. And I also don't have an issue in my mind for them to demo from the north to the south to deliver the works and to go back to the north to complete other potential works when and if they're approved. Because your alternative option is moving from Geraldton. So the distances we're talking about, I don't think are a massive factor. So it's just the point for councillors to consider is which risk they'd like to balance. And for mine, I would stick with as Councillor Fulton put it, stick with the horse that we've got and have them just carry on and pay the price of a few weeks to de-risk the supply, basically. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Vanderloo. With that, councillors, I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
Aye.
All those against? Oh, you put your hand up twice, Councillor Langley. Didn't you?
No.
He didn't? Councillors, that is a 4-3. So,
Votes recorded, please, Mrs.
Was there a show?
they're against got it.
Did you push out
No.
a motion? Yeah. No.
That's good.
Simple majority.
No, he didn't.
I thought he did. Okay. Sorry. Councillors, Councillor Maslin, you had a motion.
Yes, I did.
Would you like to put the motion?
I'd like to put the motion as per the officer's
Oh, sorry.
recommendation.
No, I thought
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
The motion as
Simple
put by
majority.
councillor, but it was put and it was carried.
That's what I
I
thought it
thought-
got up.
I thought
It didn't get up. It got 3.
Councillor Langley voted against
Oh,
it.
you vote.
Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
sorry.
4-3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's what I
So
thought.
you voted for it? Yeah. Thank you. Right.
Yeah.
Sorry, my mistake.
Okay. Thank God we didn't lose.
That's all right, sir. Fine, what do you want? Get away with
About to
this.
say we'll get nothing.
I was 3 strikes on that, right? I didn't see Councillor Langley's hand go up. I thought, okay, Rodney. Okay, so councillors, moving on to the next agenda item.
Right, phew.
Item 7.4.5. No, 7.4.5, Councillor Skender has declared an interest in it. It's an impartiality interest, and the extent of the interest is the author is his partner. Councillor Scott, a mover, please. Councillor Maslin. Councillor Vanderloo. Councillor Maslin, do you wish to open the debate, or is there any debate at all?
No, I don't have any further debate on this one. Does anyone else?
Is there any debate, councillors? There being no debate, councillors, that's adopted. I'll refer you back to the agenda, councillors. Applications for leave of absence. Councillor Skender would.
Yeah, I'd like to apply for leave of absence for the ordinary council meeting in March, please. March meeting, yes.
March meeting.
Thank you.
Can I have a second, please, councillor Cockrell? All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. Motions of which previous notice has been.
I also applied for
I see, yes, you know.
So, yes, yeah, also applied for a leave of absence for the March ordinary council meeting.
A second, please, councillor Maslin.
Mhm.
All those in favour? Thank you. Now, motions of which previous notice has been given. Councillor Fullerton.
Oh, thank you, sir. I have an elected member's motion to be put forward, which I believe all councillors have a copy. Not sure if Councillor Langley has a copy. Which is still-
So that would be just
In deference to Councillor Langley, then I shall labour a little longer, I'm afraid. Sorry, apologies.
Can you hear councillor Fullerton?
Can you hear me, Councillor Langley?
Can you please repeat that, Councillor Fullerton?
In deference to the point that you do not have a copy of my elected member's motion, I shall labour the matter a little longer. Can you hear me, Councillor?
Yep, I can hear you clearly, yeah.
Okay. My motion is to reclassify, and I really don't have a name for this road yet. This is part of the deal.
Coastal Road, may I suggest, councillor?
Coastal Road will do
North of
fine.
Carnarvon.
Find something else. It is a working paper. Ostensibly, that a public roadway maintained and constructed by the state of Western Australia shall run from the junction of the Blowholes Road and Northwest Coastal Highway, about 20 kilometres north of the Gascoyne River Bridge, to the junction of the North Warra Road at a point just south of the Tropic of Capricorn, where that road meets the other state road, the Manilla Exmouth Road, to be assigned to the state of Western Australia for construction and maintenance. That will link state road to state road. I will explain why. In line with problems that this local authority has, many hands and very few shekels. So Mummy's purse gets a little stretched when it comes to roads in the Shire of Carnarvon. We've got a lot of roads and very little money. And this road is a series of coastal tracks. And I'm told that John Bernard Fitzpatrick and Uncle Merton didn't go that way. That's more Jack Maslin country, really, up the coastal track. And that's what they were. The mailman literally went from one homestead to another until he came out at Carnarvon. History has developed the Northwest Coastal Highway in the 1960s and 70s, when the road had to go to Karratha post haste, and they literally lit a fire at one end, aimed at that fire, and went straight. So what we've wound up with, from in particular the Exmouth Junction Road, where I'm referring to in the Exmouth Manilla Road, all the way onto the Gascoyne River Bridge, there is one highway. There is one way out. I guess there's a few bushmen around the place here that can retrack old Jack's tracks, and we can find ourselves in an adventure tour coming down the coast and come out at the Blowholes. And that's had a bit of history. In this chamber, it was closed. That particular section between Nalu and Warra was closed for many years, for reasons notum solum deo. But recently, in the 1st of December 2020, must be misprint, this chamber opened that coastal track for the purpose of an adventure track only. And that was in the May, from the 1st of December 2020, that was in the May 2020 Ordinary Council meeting, some 26 months ago. We've now reached a point where this road serves more than one function. It is no longer a mail run to the homesteads. That could be used, but I don't think the mail track goes anywhere. But significantly, it is a main connector for tourism. At the moment, it goes via the coast, or via the road out in the bush to Nalu, and we cannot afford to upkeep the Nalu Road for tourism. There's a major tourism development occurring. If it's not occurred, all along that coast with the Red Bluff, etc. The road's getting worse, our pocket's getting less. So that's tourism. Now, from a commercial aspect, there's a whole miles of road that's costing us a fortune, which we can't keep up, so we're economically we're becoming a bit screwed. Environmentally, and it was pointed out to me that I'm a turtle killer. Well, we've kind of been over that ground with the opening of the Warra Nalu track. And the State Department of Environment have kind of got over their problems, and they have learnt to manage it. And they've brought in details here. There's been an uplift in tourists and less problems because there's more exposure. We will create an economic opportunity for the people in Tardabaya to develop tourism down along and for the Indigenous ranges to show the people their country. What a wonderful opportunity. Now, I'm going to bring to a personal point. Early in January, I took a trip to Coral Bay, and there was a bushfire at Manbury. Well, that's nothing new. David Gooch has become more than adept at putting out bushfires because he gets plenty of practice. It's one of those bits of country that's always on fire. Lord knows why Gooch went there. That's why we left it to him. Even Maslin left it to him. But God bless Gooch because he gave Uncle Merton the first head of sheep. But that's history. Unless I was prepared to take my good Ute electric car off the road, I was stuck in Coral Bay because there's simply no net to the network. We've got a chain, but with half the link missing. So once that road goes out, everything from Carnarvon to Karratha is screwed, to put it roughly. Right? You can't move. You could go all the way out to Mount Augustus and come in at Tara. Oh, we know how to do that. But God, Lord, fellas, that's longer than what they have to do to get Lyndon's cattle out. So by linking that road together, we create a network in our chain. But it's not our chain. It's the state government's chain. It's their road network, not ours. They will have the resources, the political will, the leaning to get this thing together and to develop a good all-weather road, same as the Indian Ocean Drive. And I know these things don't happen overnight. I might not even live to see it. But unless we make a start, we aren't going to get anywhere. So I put it to councillors that we must make a start. We must investigate this. We must instruct our CEO to do an investigation of the processes required to get this show on the road and demonstrate the visionary and forward thinking that this chamber has. We don't sit here rubber stamping reports. You notice they go through pretty quick because that's what they're doing, their reports. When it gets to this sort of stuff, this is what this chamber does. Please support my motion.
Thank you. Before I ask for a second, Councillor Fullerton, will you accept the point 3 that's just been put up there?
Oh, sure.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Langley, did you recognise that Mr. Selby emailed that agenda item to you? Thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Good man.
Sorry, sir. Just to point clarity, if you do the whole road, it doesn't matter. But I'd say that's priority be given to the construction of the Quabbanalu Road. Because for all intents and purposes, it doesn't exist at the moment. I mean, no, it exists as a state, as a local road. But what we're pointing to the state, or asking the state to do is when they do that, actually construct that bit first.
Thank you. Councillor Maslin has seconded that motion. With that speech, Councillor Fullerton, you open the debate. Do I have a speaker against the motion? Do I have any further speakers for the motion?
Yeah.
Councillor Skender?
Quickly, must commend Councillor Fullerton for putting this together, and I'll declare that I support it half, I guess, 50%. I support your recommendation to us as you have put it, noted as written, that we resolve to instruct and authorise the CEO to conduct an investigation report as to the reassignment of the series of coastal roadways. At the moment, I do not share the same vision of constructing roads, and which is consistent with my views with opening the Warra track previous years. and I'll stick to that for now. I agree with the fact that it's costly for us and impossible, basically, for us to maintain. And I agree with the state putting its hand up and taking it on board. But I don't agree at this stage with constructing bitumen roads and all-weather roads all the way through to the Exmouth Road. I couldn't think of anything worse. Call me backwards, call me a greenie, conservative, that's okay. But I couldn't think of anything worse than semi-trailers and, fifth wheelers going up and down that coastline. I would like to see that reserved for future off-road enthusiasts and camping people in a controlled manner. At the most, if it was my way, I wouldn't even like to see them there. But it's the way it is. It's democracy. But as it is written, councillor and doctor, I support it, and I look forward to providing you don't change it now. And I look forward to the CEO's report come June.
Thank you, councillor Skender. Any further speakers? Any speakers against the motion? That was a speaker for the motion.
That was kind of, yeah.
Was too.
Was too, yeah.
It was two?
It was.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was.
it was.
Four. Any speakers against the
The way it's
motion?
written now.
Any speakers, any further speakers for the motion? Councillor Coffey?
You go.
Yep, sorry, I just wanted to essentially echo what Councillor Skender said. I definitely support the motion as it's put to start an investigation into the process. But obviously I do have some similar reservations when it comes to the potential development of Seal Road all the way through, but that's exactly what an investigation will hopefully start getting to the bottom of. So I do support the motion as it's put. Thanks.
Thank you, councillor. Councillors. Now, you speak against?
Speak for it if there's
For it, yeah.
speak against it. Yeah,
Speak.
I also support it, particularly support it for the resilience of the design feature that Councillor Fullerton's referring to. We've seen that on several instances, or at least one that comes to mind recently with bushfires alongside the West Coastal Highway and the existence of the track and people come around, so supplies are broken, towns continue to function, and it works, having been keeping people allowed getting around, and it doesn't really, you don't really get to a feel of how important it is to maintain that until you're on the wrong end of the supply, and then you realise just how much stuff breaks as a result of becoming disconnected. I also share the concerns of Councillor Skender and Cottrell from an environmental perspective, but probably not the fear of a Seal Road doing damage to the area. I'm of the mind that creating the boundary actually defines the place where the cars to be, and actually is a better long-term prospect in a similar way to you see Indian Ocean Drive and the impact that that's had. And just to Councillor Skender's point in relation to the trucks, and that I think it would probably the long-term vision would be you would see trucks on North West Coastal Highway and slow-moving caravans, camp trailers on the coastal track as you tend to see on Indian Ocean Drive. So I think it's you get that nice level of separation. You get horses for courses, basically the people that want to go slow and enjoy the environment do so on a road that's safe and cheaper to maintain, not cheaper to construct, but cheaper to maintain. And I think it's just winners all around if something like that eventually does occur. So thanks, Councillor Forster.
Yes, you may, Councillor Lane. Yes.
My only input would be, to initiate discussions with native title groups just regarding potential costs and concerns before we sort of delve too deep into this issue.
Would you like to answer that, Mr. Silver, sorry, because I think it's got merit.
Yes, certainly,
Part of
thank
the
you.
process.
Yes, through the chair, that would definitely be part of the investigation. What consultation and negotiations would need to happen with native title holders.
So, I'm not sure I'm going to actually speak for the motion or against this, councillors, before we close this off, because the reason this has come before council is Our council cannot afford that road, full stop, and I cannot envisage this council being able to afford that road for the next 50 years. And the road to Narraloo is going to stay, full stop. I can't say the road from Narraloo to Warra will stay, but the road from Carnarvon to Narraloo will be in place. The people are still going to travel to Narraloo and Quobba going forward. We cannot maintain it to a safe level. There is currently the road to Narraloo itself is not too bad. It's quite good. From there to Narraloo Bay, there is no road. You can't say there's a road. It just doesn't exist. We can't afford to fix it. It needs a full reconstruction, and the only materials available are that far away, of proper road building materials, are a long, long way away, and it's highly expensive beyond our means to do anything about it. So the intent of the question asked at Walga and Regional Road Group was, would the state be interested in, or would the state take over the road? Because the state does have the resources to maintain that road and therefore become part of the state network. That was the question asked. Because to build that road, rebuild that road, and then not bitumise it would be an act of a fool. It really would. Given the conditions, the amount of traffic, it would be absolutely foolish. So in the interest of saving money long term, you'd have to bitumise it. So I asked to add that dot point, priority given to the construction of the Quobba-Narraloo Road. I think it's an absolute priority with the number of people travelling up there with large caravans and boats and their safety. So that is done. Therefore, after it gets to Narraloo, that's another argument going on to the Exmouth Road. But for the time being, I think the constant priority must be given to that Quobba-Narraloo section. We've got a bitumen road to Quobba. It hasn't caused any great problems. It's even harder to get into Corandoo and places like that because nobody takes any notice of that. But so it's actually helped having a bitumen road going up there because people are staying on the bitumen road. So with that, I support it, but keep in mind the realistic outcome would be that the state took it over and used their resources to provide a bitumen access all the way through to Narraloo. Yeah. I suppose I didn't I? Yeah. Any further speakers against it? No. Any further speakers for it? I think we know where we're going. I'll put it to the vote. All those in favour?
No, close, sir.
Oh, my apologies, Councillor Fullerton. You may close.
I'll just address a couple of points in summary that's been said. I very much share Councillor Skender's concern for the natural environment. I'm an environmentalist. I train myself to trees. I used to cut them down, but you're dead right. However, I think a lot of that has been already addressed by the opening up of the coastal track from Narraloo to Warra, where the state environmental people realised that they had to manage it. And like Indian Ocean Drive, that goes past a lot of sensitive environmental areas. In fact, it drives through the Navy firing range and Lancel Army training range. People don't wander off it because there's a formed road there and they don't wander off. This leads to creating marine reserve parks along that coastline, and gives it the access to the state agencies and control of the environment instead of having people wandering up there and killing turtles because they're not seen. However, once this is done, I believe that the environmental concerns will be addressed in that matter. As to native title, generally this follows the existing road reserves, and that's why in the summary of the item I've written it's fairly complex. It's the Blowholes Road, it's the Narraloo Road, it's the Narraloo-Warra Track, the Warra North Road, and to the junction of the Manili Exmouth Road. There's a whole series of roads. That's why I've taken it from literally the Northwest Coastal Highway, which is a state road. State road? No, it used to be federal, but I'm not sure if it still is. Up to another state road. So the state will interlink the state roads from one state road junction to another state road, following existing alignments. So I think both of those will be addressed and satisfied during the investigation and the development. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Fullerton. Mrs Selby's just suggested there may be a risk to the state closing a section of the road. With a partial or something.
Don't disclose.
So, well, they may take the road over, but then close the road after Narrowloo.
I don't think they can do that.
Well, if the state take over the road, it's theirs.
Yes, sir, there is legislation that says it predominates to open roads, not close them. And main roads have a fit if their road's closed for minutes.
Thank you, councillor. So, councillors, I shouldn't have done that. Right, we'll put it, with that, we'll put it to the vote. All those in favour? Right. That's in favour, councillor Langley? Thank you, that's unanimous, thank you. Councillors, with that, the date of the next meeting will be Tuesday. What have I forgotten to do?
Questions from members without notice.
Oh, my apologies.
No, sorry. My bad.
Sunny's off, yeah.
Damn.
Your question?
Questions were taken on notice last time, and this is the answers.
Yes,
Mhm.
these are the answers. So would you like to read your question out?
Okay.
Excellent.
Can an update be provided on the damaged house located on David Brand Drive? What action has been taken to board up the damaged house until repairs can be carried out? The response is 104 David Brand Drive. Mr. Lau and I inspected the property on Wednesday, 1st of February, and confirmed it's securely boarded in accordance with the conditions of the council resolution, and 58 Granbury Drive, corner of David Brand Drive. Mr. Lowe and Andrea, I should say, also inspected this nearby, which is in a state of disrepair, been badly vandalised, including the evidence of fires. Owner who does not live locally been contacted and has advised he will arrange for a contractor to secure the building following the owner declaring. Do I read the rest of that? Following the owner declaring bankruptcy and the bank disowning any interest in the property is now under control.
So that's for 107, there's a section just before the word following. There should be 107 David Brand Drive.
Oh, right. Following 107 David Brand Drive, the owner declaring bankruptcy and the bank disowning any interest in the property is now under control of Land Use Management and with the Department of Planning, Land and Heritage. We've made multiple requests to the department. They've advised that they are looking into it. Next question. Can an update be provided on the house sustained fire damage in Cleaver Street and what action has been taken to make it safe? The response is the owners have received a formal written request to clean up the property. As no action has been taken, a letter providing a deadline will be sent to the owner within the next week. Councillor Fullerton, do you want me to read yours? Councillor Fullerton. Can an update on the cleaning up of illegally dumped rubbish at South Common be provided? The response, clean up of the primary dumping area to the east and west of Oyster Creek Road was completed at a cost of approximately $9,300. The contractor also placed barriers on the trail in this area to prevent access. However, the contractor has reported seeing new rubbish dumped. Signage has been ordered and will be installed in the next month. Rangers have increased patrols of the area and materials for an education campaign on social media has been drafted. A further stage of cleanup will be ordered next week, focusing on the power line easement between Carnarvon Road and Harbour Road. And the cameras, yeah, Andrew said the cameras have been deployed now, so look out anyone thinking of dumping rubbish down there because you're on camera now. That's it.
Thank you, councillor Maslin. Urgent business approved by the presiding member or by decision of council.
I'll put under item 10 question for members without notice. And I have a question without notice.
You may.
I have received a letter from a constituent who was of a mind to table the letter at this chamber. Is that appropriate or possible for that to be done?
Councillor, the letter was provided to all councillors. And if the proponent, the writer of the letter wishes it to be made public, then, she may do. The person may put it in the social media, out in printed content like the newspapers, etc.
But not in this chamber.
No. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Could the proponent, could the writer of the letter present it in the chamber under presentations?
Read it out. Under presentations, petitions and memorials, yes. No further questions? Quick. Okay, once again, item 11, urgent business approved by the presiding member or by decision of council. I have none, or nobody's brought any to me. Item 12, matters for which meeting to be closed to members of the public. There is none. Date of the next meeting will be Tuesday, the 28th of March 2023. And councillors, we do have a corporate information session on the 14th of March. There may possibly be a special meeting of council to address a couple of tenders, and I'll ask Mr. Selby to give you the good news about what else will be addressed. Thank you, Mr. Selby.
Okay, thank you, Mr. President.
No,
I'm delighted to advise that we had the exit meeting with the auditors for the 22 audit. The financials have been signed off. The audit is now complete. Within the next couple of days, we should have the audit opinion. We've discussed the audit opinion, so we're well aware of it will be an unqualified audit. We should have that within the next 2 days. So the question is around whether council would like to wait until the 28th of March, the ordinary council meeting, to adopt the financials, or if council would be happy to have a special meeting on the 14th of March to adopt the financials, which would allow us then to commence the mandatory advertising period for the annual electors meeting. A period of 2 weeks is required to give notice about the annual electors meeting.
Well, we're going to be there at the CSI, so I might as well give you guys the support and get it going on. Get it
That's what I
moving.
thought, yeah.
Well, that's what I hope. Have the electors meeting by the end of March.
2 weeks.
So for clarity, if we adopt the audit report on the 14th,
Yes,
we could have the OCM and the ratepayers meeting on the 28th of March.
I'm not sure, we'd have to give 2 weeks
So that
notice.
would be 2 weeks.
Mm.
Well, it's very precise 14 days, so it would
14
depend
days.
when the notice went out and get the, so I think it might be pushing it to get it to the 28th, because we'd have to advertise it, lodge it with the Midwest Times on the Monday prior, so it could be a little tight to have it on the 28th.
Unless, what's the 14th? Tuesday, is it?
The 14th is a Tuesday,
Yeah,
yes.
Tuesday. So it'll be the
Unless
following
we had a
Monday.
special meeting on the 13th.
That's right. So even if we advertised it, say we preempted it, we had held the council, say council approved it on the 13th, brought that forward, it still wouldn't appear in the Midwest Times until the Wednesday. So it's just the days don't quite line up to be the 28th, but close enough.
It'll be very close. So councillors, if you, bear with me, I think I'll close the meeting and then we can have this.
Okay, sure.
Yeah, so with that, councillors, but we will understand that the corporate information session plus a special council meeting for the tenders and
Possibly, I'll talk to that.
that's possible, okay, so with that, meeting is closed, thank you.